afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this section of our Midweek Vibes show. It's a joy to be hosting you today. And I'm so delighted to welcome you from wherever you are watching from. Mamlaka Hill Chapel, let your friends know that we are here and we're here for you. This is your program or your show that brings professional perspectives to issues that we face every day. So you don't want to miss. So let your friends know about this. And our friends from Michigan have been watching and commenting. We thank you for watching. Keep watching. Let your friends know that we have something good for the kingdom of God everywhere in the world. And today we are looking at the unseen pain. You've been watching, you know that we've been looking at pain. We've had physical pain. We have looked at how to manage pain even without conventional medicine. That's been what we've been on. But today we want to switch gears a little bit and look at that particular pain that no one sees. And unless you say something, no one will help you. So today I am so overjoyed to let you know that our very own clinical psychologist is back on show with us. Margaret, welcome. Tell us where you've been.
Thank you very much, Reverend Maggie. It's a pleasure to be here, to be back home.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Has your title changed?
Not yet, just about there.
So we are looking forward to calling you Dr. Margaret Moher.
I claim that. I claim that. I claim that. I claim that.
Karibu sana.
I've been well. Busy, disruptions of work schedule with the COVID and the university closure.
Yes.
That has been a bit disruptive, but we are well and we thank God. Also being busy being a grandmother.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's nice.
And enjoying the title
Right.
and the role of being a grandmother whenever I get time to spend time with the little one. And busy doing what I love to do, therapy, especially working with children. Was also supporting a program by an NGO, training the court users committee. Court users is the magistrates, the doctors, the probation officers, the children officers, especially in child trauma, just so that the children who are in the justice system will now meet people who are sensitized to children and trauma and how that impacts. So I've been a bit busy here and there.
Doing
Yes.
the good things.
So for the glory of God.
We thank God, and we are so happy to have you.
Yeah.
And today we want to now focus on the unseen pain, and we wish for you to paint a picture for us about pain. And is there pain that cannot be seen? What kind of pain is that?
We're used to, when I say I'm in pain, then you ask me, where is the pain?
Right.
And I can point at my knee, my shoulder, my head, and wherever the pain is located. But that's physically. When you go to the hospital, the doctor asks, are you in pain? Yes. Where is the pain? And I'll say it's my back. I'll say it's wherever it is. But there is unseen pain, and I like the word unseen pain. And unseen pain is this pain that is not physically located, but it is there.
Right.
Because the unseen pain can be psychological pain, and it can also be emotional pain.
Wow, put a comma there. We focus on this emotional pain.
Yes.
Sometimes people have said that I have a heartache. My heart is aching, my back is aching, my head is aching, but my heart is aching. Is that the physical heart, or why does it seem to point to the heart? Why the heart?
Because it is emotional. Because a heartache is about matters of the heart, and matters of the heart. If we removed the heart, the one that is pumping as the organ, then we are talking about emotions.
Right.
We are talking about affect, because our emotions, they are domiciled in the heart. So when someone talks about, I have a heartache, there is the HURT, the heart, or someone has done something that is causing me pain. And there is also someone who is saying, my heart is broken. And when my heart is broken, I can't point a finger at it. I can only explain
Right.
what it is, or I can only describe what that is. And that is when now we are saying that is an emotion. And the emotion is unseen and you can't touch
Right.
because it's not physical. Whereas the physical pain, people can see me limping.
Right.
People can see me struggling to stand up. People can see me holding my hand and, trying to massage it. When it comes to emotional pain, people can't quite see it, but of course, they are symptoms. They are not signs. They are symptoms that I would see, and they can suggest that, Reverend Maggie, there's something.
There's something there.
There's just
what
something.
What are some of those things that can be observed? Or what are the symptoms that, as a clinical psychologist, you'd be looking at, even though the person is silent? Would you see something to do a good diagnosis?
Now, the most interesting thing is emotional pain can be manifested emotionally, or can be seen emotionally, can be seen psychologically through symptoms, and can also be seen physically. And you can also see behavior. So when you talk about emotional pain manifested emotionally, you notice someone has a low mood. They are sad. They are oscillating in terms of their mood from a high to a low. You can see in terms of behavior, they are isolated, they're looking lonely, they are withdrawn. You can also see in terms of their behavior, you can see change in patterns. For example, eating, sleeping. You'll notice in terms of their grooming, they're not well kept as they were before. You can also see it cognitively in terms of mental. They are not concentrating, they're not paying attention, they have trouble making decisions. Those are all symptoms that you can see that would suggest there is something. And because you can't see it, then it's more or less inferred. And in some instances, it's also physical, where now this person has the X and X and X. The haba here, there, everywhere.
Yeah, nowhere.
And nowhere.
Yeah.
There's nothing organic.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many painkillers you pop, you still are in pain. It doesn't matter how many scans and everything else, because the pain keeps shifting.
Yes.
Like it's my headache.
And that's very intriguing.
Yes.
That the scans don't show anything.
At all. They will
or
not
the
show.
show nothing.
Nothing.
Because they wouldn't show.
Because
That's
there's nothing to show, because
show.
organically, physically, you're not sick.
Right.
All these are psychosomatics. They're symptoms that they're red flags.
Right.
That says something is not right. And we hardly get to notice the emotional pain until most often than not, it's manifested physically. And then now the doctor says, there's nothing wrong with you, we can't see anything, would suggest go and see a psychologist. Yes.
So by the time the doctor is sending this patient now to a clinical psychologist or psychologist, has the family played a role in not bringing the matter out sooner, or is it really, really hidden? Do people hide their emotional pain, in other words?
Oh, yes. I like that question. There are so many people, Reverend Maggie, hurting around us, but we don't know. One, because people have mastered the art of, they're my issues, I don't want to burden people with my problems, let me keep them to myself. And so when we are people, unless you're really, really keen, you can be around someone who is hurting so much and you will not see. There is that angle to it. Number two, we are also busy that we hardly take time to sit down for me to ask, Reverend Maggie, how are you?
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
Yeah.
And when we when I call you out for coffee, it's not about me, it's about you. And I want to know how you're doing.
But I'm told by people, Maggie, if I could ask you this question, that sometimes they call somebody for coffee, they want to either share what they're feeling or listen to that person, but their coffee is hijacked.
It happens.
Right. Why do we get those calls or those situations hijacked? Why don't we listen, for example?
If you said, Margaret, let's have coffee, the ideal thing would be I would come, you called me, and then I want you to drive the agenda, because maybe you needed me to listen to you, or maybe there's just something you wanted us to talk about.
So is
I didn't call you out, so it's more of who called, who invited the other. If you said, if I said, Reverend Maggie, I would like to talk to you about something, I've already suggested that there's something I'd like to talk to you about.
Yes.
So if I met with you, I would expect, before you start to tell me about yourself, it's like, oh, Maggie, yes, now Margaret, I'm here, let's talk.
Yeah.
And then now you give me the ear that I need, and the time, the airspace, and all that. But the reason also why people keep the pain to themselves and they are not talking could be shame. That maybe some of the things that I am going through, I look at them and I think they are so shameful to talk about. Let's pick an example on the extreme end, like someone who's going through physical, domestic abuse, or who has been sexually assaulted. Or teenagers who are struggling with their identity and they are, really, really at crossroads of is it, where am I at?
Yes.
So depending on the person's perception of what is the cause of this pain, then some people will keep quiet because they think it's too shameful and they're embarrassed to talk about it, and they're hurting on the inside. Others could be, I don't know what the society will think about me. So I'm this brand, I am a Christian.
Right. I have this position.
I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm in this position. So when I go and talk about it, then I've looked like the one who has it all together, So how do I go and say that I'm actually broken?
Right.
That I'm actually vulnerable? And then we've also been socialized, and this is very common with men, and also very, very common with firstborns, whether they're girls or they're boys. They've been socialized to, you have to take it in.
Yeah, you have to be a man.
You have to man up.
Oh, yeah.
You have to take it in, you have to be the strong one. And we always hear those words being used.
Right.
You have to be strong, you have to take it in, you cannot afford to break. So this has been said to me so many times that there's no way I'm going to allow myself to be vulnerable. Because I'm not supposed to be vulnerable.
I'm not supposed to be.
I'm supposed to be the kind of a person who can deal with anything and everything. And because of that societal expectation, then they will not allow themselves to share with someone what is happening to them. Because if I come to share with you, it's like I'm admitting I am vulnerable.
Wow. And that's a shameful thing to admit.
For some people.
For some people.
And it doesn't really matter. It's not really about what happened. It's about I am hurting, I'm in pain, I need help.
And that's simple like that.
As simple
and
as
yet
it should be as simple as that.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So most of the things I've heard is that mothers won't share because they're trying to protect their children. I've also had, I want you to examine that a little bit and educate us on how moms, or anyone else for that matter, should know whether they are doing their families a disservice or helping them by keeping quiet. The other one I've heard is that when husbands especially lose their jobs, I've heard of cases where a husband will lose his job And he won't say, like, for many months, the dude is at home a lot. This leave is taking forever. He's not going, but he's not saying anything. And then when asked what's happening, he will end up being very angry. Could you help shed light on to what is affecting that kind of person at that time?
Let's even pick the example that you've brought out, the example of I've lost my job. I was the breadwinner, perhaps. And that position gave me status. I'm a clinical psychologist. I work at the Technical University. So, that gives me some status. So who is Margaret without that job? Without that title, without the fact that I'm saying I work at the Technical University.
Right.
So some people can't simply deal with the new me now, because it looks like my identity was defined
by the position,
by the position, by the work.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, it could also be, I don't want to tell my family that I have lost a job, because then what will this do and mean? If it is a man, how is this going to impact on the relationship with the wife? Will the children continue to look at you as this hero father figure? And for all those reasons, then people struggle to break the news that I have lost the job. So you find even whatever savings they had, they have spent it in this, trying to make it look like things are okay, until they get to the point of where they are broken out the money, they've run out of the savings and everything else.
Finally, they have to.
Yes.
Say
And
it.
yes. And yet, the easiest thing would have been to sit the family down and let the family know that there are these changes. I've lost my job. We cannot continue to live as we did before. We have to make changes and agree on what kind of adjustments
We need to make.
Yes, but the societal pressure will push anyone to do anything just to maintain that status. Maybe someone is struggling with, yes, I know I can make the adjustment, I can downgrade, move from this house and go to another house, but they are more concerned about what will my parents say, what about my neighbors, what about people in church, and so the society becomes what is pushing this individual to just trying to keep like things are normal, yet they are not.
Wow, that's a good perspective. That because finally it will come out. The earlier discussed with family, the better. And then again, the question of what defines you. I think that's an important question. If something temporary will define us, that means when you don't have that something temporary, then it means we shrink.
And it goes back to this very difficult question that I ask clients in therapy, and I know it's difficult because clients give me feedback when I give them that assignment, and I want you to go and think, who is Reverend Maggie?
Right.
No, who is Margaret Mohia?
Yes.
Not Reverend. Yes. And they will come back with, I am a reverend, I am born again, I am a mother, I am a grandmother, I am a wife. And I'm like, you know what? Those are titles.
So what are you looking for at that time?
Let's put the titles aside.
Right.
Who are you? If you were to write down, if you were to have a tag on your back, who would you say you are? Because being a wife is a title, Mrs.
And when I was not
and
a
being
wife,
a mother
when I was
is
not
a
a mother,
title. I am a mother.
Yeah.
But who am
Who
I?
really are you?
Who really are you?
Hold that thought right there, because we're going to take a short, very, very short break. And then when you come back, you're going to help us lead to a place where we can define ourselves out of the status, outside the titles, and outside anything else that defines us, right? Okay. Let's take a break.
wa majeshi, ninapenda kukaa nawe. Maskani zako zapendeza, nazikondea kwa shauku kubwa. Heri siku moja mbele zako kuliko siku elfu mbali na wewe. E Bwana, nguvu na msaada wangu, takupenda daima. Moyo na mwili wangu Bwana vyakulilia Mungu wangu, na heri nikose vyote Baba, lakini nikupate wewe. Heri siku moja mbele zako kuliko siku elfu mbali na wewe. E Bwana, nguvu na msaada wangu, takupenda daima. Heri siku moja.
Welcome back. We are so glad you are with us. We want to continue exploring this silent pain. And with us on studio, if you're just joining us right now, is Margaret J. here, a clinical psychologist teaching at the university. And also, she'll tell us about learning a private practice. But we left this conversation at a point where we are looking at what defines us. And when you ask this question to clients, who are you? Can you help us figure out how to define ourselves? Because, Margaret, I think when I've been a mother for a lot of time, or no, a grandmother, maybe that's something very new, or I've been in this kind of position, I have this new skill, I've gained this new knowledge and title, now I'm professor, or I'm Dr. So-and-so, I live in this neighborhood, my community is of equal minded people. So if something is off, I'm likely to hurt. How then can I begin to define myself outside those newly acquired pieces of me that have come to define me?
You know, one of the things we do in therapy is you've come with a list of titles and accolades and everything else. And sometimes the emotional pain or the silent pain is as a result of the titles. Or the way now we define ourselves depending on where we are at in the position. For example, like you said, if the first thing I say, I am a wife, what would happen, God forbid, if my husband passed on, or if I divorced? What happens to my sense of identity after that? If it's because I am a mother, what happens when my children all grow up and they leave the nest? What will I do? What will my identity be then? If it is because I'm a career person, what happens when I retire?
Right, or I lose my job.
Or I lose my job?
Yes.
What happens? Then you realize, because that was your identity, once that title is taken away, then this person crashes.
That's right.
And that is why in defining who I am must be beyond the titles that we hold. Who is Margaret? Before I became a wife, I was.
Yes.
before you became a doctor, you were. So it's those attributes about me that are in it that define me.
Wow.
That if I didn't tell you I'm Margaret Nje here,
Right.
and I just talked about my attributes, you'd easily say that the person you're describing, I think is Margaret. And that's who you are.
That's a good one. I think this is an invitation to all of us, I guess, to begin to explore who we really are before we have the titles.
Yes.
I think I find that a good call. People who have a better identity, when they perhaps come to your clinic, do they deal better with pain?
They deal better with everything. Because then they are not clouded by these titles, and they are not clouded by the search of who I am. Because if I don't have a very well-defined sense of personal identity, then I'll try to be everyone
Right.
and everything. So even when I meet challenges and the bumps in life, then I'm not well grounded, then I'm not creative. I will bash myself a lot more when I don't resolve it. But if I know I am this kind of a person, even when I meet a challenge, I always go internally, I search internally for ways to resolve that crisis.
Wow.
And that is why, if I know I'm this kind of a person who I'm strong enough to go and seek for help when I realize I need help, it's no longer about shame. When I come and say, Reverend Maggie, I want to talk to you about one or two things about my emotional pain. Because then my identity, I am so secure in myself
Yeah.
that doesn't look like I'm in
Yeah.
a vulnerable space
Right.
or it's a show of weakness. So they tend to resolve issues in a much more objective way than the people who are struggling with their sense of personal identity. Because anything, it's so easy for it to get confused into this is a challenge on my identity or on my personality, whereas it has nothing to do with that. Yes.
And doesn't matter whether it's male or female.
It doesn't matter.
It's a global issue.
It doesn't
it's a
matter.
human issue.
It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't
Right.
matter your level of education, how high, low, how low. It doesn't matter your career or anything. As long as you don't have a very, very well, a defined sense of identity, you will still struggle with the same things. And like we said, some aspects about your identity are the ones that cause you the silent pain.
Is that right?
Yes.
So, for example, give us an example.
So, for example, you come from this family that believes we are all A students.
I think that's a good one.
And,
It's very common.
and I'm a C student.
Yes.
That then, it's already being said in the family where I am that I am not good enough. And I'm struggling to get into what you'd probably the family considered a prestigious career and trying to fit in, and I am not fitting in. Maybe also because my passion is not about that. It's about a totally different area. But I'm not able to really push for who I am.
I am.
It could also be I'm a Christian and I was a young girl in the worship team, living my faith and everything else. And then just something happens and my identity was I'm a Christian first and foremost. And then now I'm pregnant.
Yes.
And now that is stripped away. So what is left of this young girl?
Right. And then, of course, we frown. Society would basically frown on a girl like that. How could she?
And you said you're a Christian. How did you do that?
Yes.
So because if my identity was I am a Christian, I do things the right way, and just something happened, then now who am I? I'm left with nothing. And so this value and this identity of I'm a very good Christian, now she will use those values to beat herself.
Right.
And that crushes everything about her. And she will never see anything else objective about her or anything good about her. And she's constantly in pain about this one thing
Yes, indeed.
about her.
About her.
And if she's not in the space where people can pick other positives about her, can, mirror that back, can still help her know that was, you slipped, but you can still get up.
You can rise up.
You can rise
And
up.
walk
If she
again.
doesn't feel like she has anything left in her innate, then her sense of identity is just
It's
crushed.
gone.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for covering that. Yeah. So let's come quickly to the responsibility of the community towards a hurting person. What would you say is a valuable piece of advice for the society around a hurting person? Number one, we said sometimes we are too busy, we are not observant enough. Sometimes we are already perhaps hurting ourselves, we are not caring. But what is the role of the community starting from the family? At family, should a person in my family be hurting and I'm not aware? Should my colleague be hurting and I'm not aware? Should be my student and I'm a teacher be hurting and I'm not aware? What are those, what do you need to do to be sensitive to those around you?
I think it starts, let's look at it, to answer that question, let's look at it differently. Why is this person not coming to the family? Why am a colleague and my colleague is hurting and they are not coming to me? I think it starts there.
Right.
Why are they not coming to the pastor, to an auntie or to someone else? It starts there to answer that question. Is it because they perceive us as people who are not trustworthy? One, with their piece of heart and the information. Or
Right.
number two, because we don't have the competence and the capacity
Or even
to
the
help them.
stewardship of that information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why are you not coming? So it starts with, let's create the space
Right.
that people can come to us because we are approachable, because we are sensitive, because we are communicating an attitude of care
That's right.
and concern. And if someone comes to me the first time, let me be seen as this person who is trustworthy
That's right.
in my capacity to help and in my capacity to keep their heart in confidence. Then I'm sure this person will come a second time and will come a third time to me because they trust me.
Right.
However, it also goes to the person who is hurting. Is there also something about you that we need to deal with to make it easier for you to seek help?
Right.
What does seeking help mean? Is it a show of weakness? Is it a show of vulnerability? Or is it shame? If it is shame, what is so shameful about what you're going through, about what is hurting you? Is it because of the societal perception? Or is it what really makes that thing
Right.
shameful enough? So it's two-way. It's us as the society to be sensitive to the people around us, and two, to just be keen with the people around you. Let's not just go home in the evening for the home to look like it's a place we all come to lodge.
Yeah.
You know, I say homes are like half-board hotels where we come for dinner, bed, and breakfast.
Right.
And
But
that's
there's
all.
no relationship going
But
on
there's
there.
no relationship. Let's, as families, sit down and get interested in what is happening to one of us. Let's be people who are more proactive. Let's be sensitive to what is happening to one of us.
That's right.
Because a lot of the people who are hurting, the trigger is the family. And I'm sure you've met so many people who tell you, I don't have anyone to talk to at
Oh,
home.
sure. Yeah, you hear that a lot as a pastor.
Why is it that they have no one to talk to at home? So as parents, let's be present, let's be open, let's be approachable, let's be people let's be parents that are accessible first and foremost for our children. And then let's be people who reach out to our friends.
Right.
If I realize you haven't talked to me in a while, it's okay to reach out and say, hey, hi, how are you doing? But because we are so busy with what we are doing, I hardly will notice that Reverend Maggie and I have not talked for 3 months.
Right. I actually had someone say they were pinching themselves because they were saying, I know I didn't talk to my friend so-and-so. The next was an invitation to their funeral committee. And they really were beating themselves because they were saying, why wasn't I there? Again saying, if you're too busy and you don't know what your friend is going through, then there's a question there, is that truly a friend?
There, we have different friends. There's the friend who, if I cry, I know who to talk to if I'm crying.
Right.
If I need to borrow money, I know who to
Yes.
go to. If I just need to while time away,
Yeah.
then
About
I know.
nothing. Yeah.
Yes, then
Yeah.
I know who
Uh-huh.
to talk to.
Uh-huh.
So it's me to ask myself, these people in my circle, who are they?
Uh-huh.
And to also ask myself, who am I in their lives? Am I the one to constantly go to? Am I their go-to? So if they are silent, then I need to look out for them. So it's also not so much about who are my friends. It's about what kind of a friend am I to my friends. Yes.
So when somebody is silent, it could mean that they have an unseen pain somewhere going on, and it behoves us to call them.
And maybe just that text, WhatsApp message of, hi Margaret, how are you doing? Yes.
That's
could
a good one.
actually be the one that is going to open up the conversation.
That's right.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to therapy, I know therapists will tell you that it's good. Family has a big role to play in your recovery, for example. So I have this silent pain, I have had a heartbreak. This young girl or this young man too, go through a heartbreak. So where do you see the family coming in, at what point?
This is my practice, and this is my way of doing it. Maybe not every therapist will do this, but I'm family centered. I look at the family being the support system that I'm going to triangulate in as much as possible for every client who walks in through my therapy door. Because number one, either the family is the trigger, or number two, the family will be the support system that this person needs.
That's right.
So if you get this young girl who is struggling, there's always this question when we are doing the relationship assessments and you're using a chart and you ask this question. If you had, if you're going through something difficult and you didn't come to me as a therapist, who is the other person you would go to? And they'll say, I would go to so-and-so. Then you know that is a support system and forms part of the support system. And for me, anytime someone does not, in that relationship assessment, doesn't bring anyone from the family, I want to find out
Why?
where is the family and what is their role in what has brought this person in therapy. And if this individual has to heal, then the system has to heal.
Oh, I like what you just said. Say that again. There's a system and there's an individual.
I'm an individual in a system in my family.
Right.
If I must heal, you must heal the system.
So you're saying the system must be examined. It could be broken.
It could be broken.
Could be hurting too.
And it could also be my emotional pain is what is happening in the system. So if you don't fix the system, then this individual is continuously exposed to a broken system.
Oh,
and so
good one.
to heal, and when you talk about holistic healing, then you also want this system to heal whatever dysfunctionality is there in this system, so that then they are rolling together. They're moving together. Then they become each other's support system. And that's where family therapy comes in. Yes.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. I think our time is going pretty well. We have a few more minutes to wrap this up. And I would like to invite you to say something to a parent who has a child or 2 or 3 or 4, and they are not even aware. Bring this to the awareness that it's possible that your child is hurting, and when this person is hurting, you can bring them to a therapy center, and in that therapy center, the support system, the structure is pretty well addressed. I like that bit.
Number one, talking to the parents is that the adults we are today, myself, yourself as a parent, are a product of our childhood. That's one. Where we grew up, the people we interacted with, and a lot of the adult struggles in terms of mental health as a result of their experiences in their early childhood. And when you talk about early childhood, we are talking about 0 to 6 years, push it 9, 10 years. And what do we look out for as a parent to see what are the symptoms of a struggling child? You will see regression. A child who had skills, acquired skills, and now they've lost the skills. A child who had stopped bedwetting, they're bedwetting. They're clinging on you. They are withdrawn. You see a child who has temper and anger issues. You see a child who is declining academically. They are all red flags. A child who is so sick, but there is really nothing organic. It's a red flag that you need to pay attention to as a child. A child who is crying a lot more, easily angered, a super sensitive child that even a critic like how you holding that spoon makes them cry.
That's
so
right.
much, then this is a child who is struggling emotionally or psychologically with something, and maybe they are not talking about it. I tell parents, go through your children's school books. Read the compositions. By the way, for all you know, a child could be writing a composition about the fight that was there the previous night. As a parent, talk to the teachers. They will tell you a lot.
Yeah.
When they go to Sunday school, pay attention to their coloring, what they were drawing, and the people who are interacting with your child. They will tell you a lot more about what is going on. And when you notice these things, please make sure that child is seen by someone who is competent, who is well trained to handle children. It's
very
not
good.
every one of us as psychologists who has the skills and the capacity to do child therapy. Please, let's be people who seek knowledge and who seek help from professionals.
Wow, I like what you said, because I think the whole issue of child therapy, I think is a topic on its own.
Yes.
I think we may have to come back to that one at a different time. But right now you've addressed the parent. The parent knows what to do. You've touched on the Sunday school teacher and the school teacher as well. And that's a great thing. But here is this couple, and one of them is hurting. And silently they are hurting, and they are in need of help. Say the wife is aware, usually wives are aware that the husbands are hurting, nothing is going on, or sometimes husbands are aware that something is going on here. So what do you say to a couple that have a covenant that we cannot let out any of our matters to the public?
Going to acknowledging that, number one, Reverend Maggie, as a couple we are hurting, is a sure show of strength,
Fantastic.
not a show of weakness. So we accept that there is something going on or we are struggling with. That's a show of strength. The second thing, seek professional help.
Fantastic.
And if you have to accompany your spouse for this help, it's the best thing that you can do. Because when your spouse is struggling, you're struggling, and the entire family is struggling.
Well said.
And if that family has to stand, we have to go back and help the struggling spouse so that then that change is spirals into the entire family.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Margaret. We have learned a lot as usual. We keep learning. We are devoted and committed to learning and to growing as individuals and as families and as a church. And now we want to ask you to tell us, where can we find you? Did you tell me that you have talked about a therapy? Did you talk about a center? Tell us where to find you and give us your phone number. Can people call you and come to you and you tell them what's going on?
Thank you. You know, we hardly advertise ourselves.
Oh,
so thank you for
don't
that
advertise yourself at all.
opportunity.
Just tell us where to find you.
Yes, you can find us at Diamond Therapy Center. Diamond Therapy Center is this center that offers holistic. There's child therapy with a dedicated child therapy room with trained child therapists who will be able to handle your children, from children with trauma, children going through grief, everything children. They have every equipment and every toy that they need. And then we also have individual therapy. We do psychological assessment, mental health, drug counseling. There's couple therapy going on there. There's family therapy going on there. And Diamond Therapy Center is at Applewood Adams. Applewood Adams is on Gong Road at Adams Arcade, 10th floor, suite number 10. So Applewood Adams, suite 1010. And
nice.
you can reach Diamond Therapy Center on 0716 875 896.
Say that again so that we can capture it.
You can reach us on 0716 875 896. And we, like I said, located at Applewood Adams, 10th floor, suite number 10.
Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate your time with us this afternoon. We appreciate your tuning in. Continue letting your friends know that we have something good going here at Mamlaka Hill Chapel. Every Wednesday, we have Midweek Vibes, and it's for you. And it's where you can ask any question about any issue affecting you or those that you care about. God bless you. We'll see you next time. Margaret, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you too
with
for
us.
having me. It's a pleasure.
It was a joy, and thank you so much to our camera and sound team. We truly appreciate. God bless you all.